What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another T-Dog Breakdown. Today, we're not necessarily just going to be talking about this TSM map. We're also going to go into a Moist X Shopify Lotus, but we're going to be specifically talking about M80's triple Sentinel comp, what it means, how it works. They're getting away with running a flashless comp with no duelist, with multiple people who can play that role, right? So first things first, layers, okay? These guys have a lot of stuff that you're going to need to chew through, okay? The wall, the slow, okay? The sensors, the net, the paranoia, the tether, the cages, the trips. There's so many layers of stuff that you have to like break through, rip through, deal with. They buy so much time, they flood. If they don't have to use that stuff, they have all of it for retake as well, walling off the bomb and defusing it, so you can't, do your normal spams or whatever it is. Walling off a choke point on a part of a map. So when they're retaking A, they can wall you in tree. Okay, retaking C, they can wall you into like bend or whatever it is. Right, retaking B, they can wall you out or they can wall you into secret. Okay, a lot of options they have with there, specifically with the Sage wall. And on top of that, the deadlock utility can complement it as well. You can throw barrier meshes in these positions, even though they aren't as good as a Sage wall. They can kind of accomplish the same thing here. So diving into this pistol round, we're going to be able to see this immediately, right? So just watch how TSM are going to struggle to get past this line that I'm kind of like drawing like in the sand here, right? With the tripwire and Qualanoob's utility, there's so much stuff that they have to get through and they're barely able to extend. So finally being able to get out here, okay, it took them so long to get into the bomb site that BCJ's Haunt is landing, it's revealing players, it's making these fights way, way, way harder than they should have been, right? So the trades go through here. Again, only a little space to come through with this Sage wall here. They already ran through a slow as well. Okay, not a lot of place to work here. Xander having a really nice right-click moment there. Poise dropped into a 1v2. What's that? You're in a corridor. You're in a place that has an entrance. We're walling you in, brother. Enjoy. First of all, take a seat with this crouch grenade. You're not peeking off of that flash. Second of all, enjoy this. Start breaking that. So he goes for a spam here. He makes a mistake by not being able to see if Nismo got off or not. He's going to be able to close out that round again, just abusing that utility. So even though we are going into the bonus here, we can kind of like immediately think at least like, all right, how does this comp get aggressive? What can they do? Obviously, they've thought about it. I think using little extensions like the revolving doors on this map are going to be your best option. That's exactly what M80 is going to do here. And they know the kind of like the limits with their utility, what it means, where it should be used, where it makes sense to be used. They're not senselessly just like floating around, just like spamming it, right? So the fight's going to start here with a slow and a dart to come out. There's more complementary utility if they wanted to use it. They can slow again. They can tether again, right? Xander's sitting out here, waiting for GMD to peek, and he's going to insta-kill him, right? He's going to drop his paranoia here. He's going to try to pick up this Vandal after the Dizzy. He's going to have to drop a second smoke since a lot of util's been dumped. And watch this. So we're dropping a wall here that not only can we peek on top of and hold like a different angle, but if we need to, Xander can kind of get out with this wall, right? So, if he were to need to run away, he could definitely do that, and this is an option they have in the fight. So if Xander wanted to TP out here, or he wanted to fight at the start of the round, and TSM wanted to take A control, Koala can drop this wall for him to get away, and then your speed up option is kind of just like a rock in a hard place. Do you want to go into the Cypher, who's anchoring the site with a deep trip and a sensor so you can't push on him? Or do you want to go into the Deadlock, right? Who's going to be able to throw that crouch grenade? You're going to have to get through that trip, and then there's going to be another sensor to screw over your entry. I personally thought that this comp was initially created to intentionally counter-strat teams that had double initiator, but they've shown that they don't even care what the enemy team plays. It's just the comp that they're sticking to and what they're doing, right? So the aggression ends up paying off here. They're going to be able to get an upgraded gun, and they're going to be in a really good spot to convert this bonus. So weirdly enough, defense is kind of cookie cutter on this comp, and I've also seen a game against Oxygen where M80 only gets 3 rounds on defense running a triple Sentinel. The name of the game for them has been flooding, okay? Starting in kind of like deeper positions where they're not fully committed to spots and they can over-rotate to either refight things, trap things, whatever it might be. Maintain information is kind of just like the goal, around flooding where, someone is trying to like maintain the C line, or there's an extremely bolstered bomb site like C with double sensor, double trip with 3 people playing A, whatever it might be. Now on attack, M80 really does this like like this crawl, this like slow, just annoying approach. They're never really gonna fight A. They're never really gonna rush C, right? They're just gonna pick you apart. They're gonna break util, okay? They're gonna walk around and they're just gonna gain space with rechargeables. So Xander using smokes, okay? BCJ using his haunt. We're gonna kind of see it here on this C default where after a timeout, they're going to get ready to kind of like pop this bomb site here, which is a little uncharacteristic, but at the end of the day, this is just a little play they're making after like a timeout, so it could be some sort of read. So let's watch the scaling utility here. Prowler goes first to activate any aggressive trips. There's no real hard entry. Occasionally we'll see Xander TP to break a crossfire, but normally Noob is just going to do a wall here that cuts off any type of spam or any type of waterfall help from coming out, and he can also peek on top of it to look into this lower bend position, okay? So Geni's getting ready to throw his blind. It's going to hit a lot of people. He's trying to peek off of it. And again, look at kind of like this elevation here. So again, they have this wall to stop any help. Okay, they have someone playing on top of it to kill this guy peeking bend or whatever it might be. And then people are able to safely scale on the outside here rather than being scared of so many angles at once, right? So the trades initially do kind of like go TSM way. Okay, but in the 4v3 here, now we get to watch like the most annoying part about this. So Noob is going to put a wall here, and Nismo is going to put all of his shit here, okay? So you have either wall you want to break. You want to break the Sage wall? Okay, you get to go into a crossfire of the outside guy and the bend guy. Okay, you want to break this barrier mesh and try to go in through this part of the site? Okay, after you break that, number one, you're at risk of dying when you're spamming it. Now there's sensors that you're going to have to get through. So again, layers. That's what we talked about on defense. They have 2-3 layers of bullshit that you need to, get through before anything happens. And again, we still have limited, it's not like the absolute best, but we still have like delay. Again, the wall is still up. Koala has a slow, 2 sensors in the bomb site, and Nismo's one off of his ult. Sometimes he'll even have his crouch grenade in a situation like this. It just gets so difficult to win. Sim with a nice shot here, putting it down to the 3v3. Seven's ready to use his ult. Sim really kind of like over peeking there, and somehow Seven doesn't know that he's walled off on either side, so it's also going to be completely useless. When they get a count, they're going to instantly pivot. This is another thing that they're not scared of at all, is literally kit dumping C or A and immediately running B and winning the post plant in B by taking space in it, right? So again, normally this wouldn't be as easy of a post plant, but when they get a count revealing where the enemy location is, they know they can do a deep extension into links like these, and they can kind of like play it how they want to. In essence, they're never really trapped. They're not really boxing themselves in where they don't have another option. They understand what their options are, and whoever's doing it is doing a really good job of talking about it and calling it out. Xander, Net, whatever it is. So TSM in the 2v3 here, it's just going to be a pretty difficult, kind of like situation to come in and retake. You have no idea where they are. There's still a bunch of utility, that they can operate off of, healing himself up, using a smoke, the camera in play, whatever it is. M80 is going to be able to convert that round. So funny enough, we did just talk about how this team really won't go fast or execute, but we're covering both versions of it. So we saw the C exec and how it works. Now we're going to be able to see how the fast A control works. What M80 is really good at is leveraging their ultimates. They don't sit on them. They have plays they like to run with them, and then again they execute it, pretty much flawlessly, consistently. So Xander's gonna TP out here. Nismo's gonna throw an anti-aggro net. So if Sim ended up sliding out there, or GMD runs up to do a TP like this, he's gonna get netted and he isn't gonna be able to play. Okay, Seven and Poised are really unable to support him in a situation like this. Okay, after this first blood off of that reveal, Nismo's gonna pop his annihilation here, his deadlock ult, and he's going to be able to run them down. So you can kind of use this as a raze rocket, right? If you wanted to, you could run all the way into the bomb site and shoot it into a position like pit or back site on the last second. But since he has a reveal and he knows that he can just kidnap someone right now, he's absolutely going to throw him in the white van, right? So Poised, wanted candy, he's getting trapped now, he's learning his lesson, 5v3. Wall is usually going stairs in a lot of these rounds. The wall just provides them a huge sense of security. It just immediately takes away something and they don't have to deal with it anymore, right? And look at the remaining utility. Regardless of the fact that it's a 5v3, I mean, even if it was a 5v4, I'd pretty much call this unwinnable. You have 2 sensors, a wall, barrier mesh, 2 slow, a cage, okay? Like, as minimalistic as it is, a cage still counts. Okay, BCJ still has his tether and a prowler. I mean, there's 2 or 3 ways to get you off the bomb. There's 2 or 3 things that you have to break before you even consider going into the site. It's just so miserable. Trades go out. 4v2. Bombs are going to get planted on the outside here. Cage for reposition opportunity. They're going to play out and they're going to get ready to spam. They know that, you know, TSM doesn't have smokes here. You know, maybe it could be a cage, maybe it could be a neon wall, but at the end of the day, it's not really diffusable. Sim with an operator. They need to get some rounds on the board. They're not going to really be able to save. Check the discipline here. Advantage situation using utility, even though it might not be the absolute best in the world. He's just making sure they can't walk up close. Hot to check the bomb. Understanding that they're off. Slow to stop a peek. After taking damage, Sim is literally forced to save. A completely unwinnable situation. And now we're finally going to be able to see a situation where a team is ready to actually flood on M80. So they've had a couple good reads. The, you know, C hit, that A speed up. Now TSM are going to be in a position where they're going to have about 4 people here ready to go and retake. Watch what they have to go through. Okay, just watch. Okay, so first of all, fade ult to clear the bomb site. If there's any pings, he can use a prowler. They're going to scale on the outside. The wall has stairs. They do not need to worry about stairs. There's no 50-50. There's no guy running through the smoke bullshitting them. They can confidently run up and clear the bomb site here. BCJ is going to get 1 ping. He's going to throw his haunt. As soon as utility starts to get used, we're throwing shit right back, right? Koala spamming an Odin here. He's going to drop a slow. Okay, sensors are dropped. A net has been thrown. I mean, what can you even do? You can't even move. Now you're blocked into the barrier mesh. You know what I mean? You're revealed. There's a trail on you. You're sitting in ice. You're just slipping around skating. Oh, I made noise. I got censored. Sorry, you know, can't shoot my gun anymore. It's just like tripping and falling. It's like Mario Kart. There's banana peels everywhere. Dude, like there's just nowhere to go. There's nowhere to move. You're just out of space, out of time. So here we're on a different map now. We have M80 going up against Moist in the upper bracket now. What's going to happen, again, with this ult recognition from Nismo, they have a play they want to run with the Annihilation, right? They have some sort of little B rush play. Let's watch what happens when this team hits B and what it looks like for a team like Moist, okay? So again, escorting kind of the ult in here, rips it just in case. I thought it was a little preemptive. Okay, just watch now. Wall, barrier mesh, plant going down, sensor, tether online, still a prowler left. Okay, there's really not much you can do if you're Moist. You have to spend so much time breaking things. C-Link is walled off. If you go past the wall, you're censored and stunned. Heaven, walled off. You go past it, you're censored and stunned, and people are peeking and punish you. Okay, there's going to be a person or two that remain in the bomb site that have limited utility, and they're going to be able to play make with it. So BCJ is going to get into a forward position here, trying to capitalize off of the Omen blind. Okay, and Koala still has a slow if he needs to, you know, have a third option, a third layer on either one of those links. Okay, so BCJ here taking a duel. Xander's getting ready to blind for him. He can combo with this crouch nade. There it goes. BCJ is going to take space in the slow, which I really like. He's going to kind of like brute force this corner spot, and then he's going to get really close to this wall to make sure that he can't get like Omen blinded and like cheesed. So he sees it coming on his screen. He gets nice and close and barrel steps with the Phantom. Very well played. Xander putting him put himself in a spot where he can fight. And again, Odorous he couldn't have come on Heaven there. There was just a stun on him the entire time. The only way that he could have had value is if someone peeked him, and no one did. So, again, another free round for M80. So now we're going to be able to see a round where we kind of have like a set retake, even though this was like a little bit of freestyle since it was like a 3v3 situation. But Vic is going to use his Omen blind for Mata to speed up into the bomb site. Here we go with the layers, right? They've kind of like stopped going waterfall because this is getting meshed off every time. They know that they can kind of like come out back site here. Still a sensor for either side on depending, you know, which one he wants to speed up off of. And then they get to play a safe position. You know, they aren't cowering in a corner because this spot is open, right? The wall is still online. So they can play close to the wall, right? You know, they can play on the bend. Again, they have a lot of space to play with here. They're never just cramped into a corner. They have a nice kind of just like comfortable zone that they can play in. They can peek off the utility if they want to, okay? Net's kind of like their win condition playing out, and he's holding their top site cross here. So tether, blind, satchels go through. Mata can't get a good fight because he's stunned. Great patience from Nismo. His ult comes online. A little bit of a miss to kind of like trade here onto Brock, but with the Annihilation kind of like coming through here, Net's going to make a play through the smoke, and he's actually going to kill him, and Vic is going to die to the ult there. So kind of surprised that Brock didn't break the ult there. I definitely understand the vision that he has, but you know, they can't go slow against it, they can't go fast against it. The setup is just too strong in that bomb site. And we're actually going to be able to see around here just like the glimpse of opportunity where if you actually do get the right timing on the flood, you can beat it. But once things start solidifying, okay, the barrier mesh, the barrier orb, the sensors start getting placed, it's pretty much over. So you have that like 1 to 2 second window to be in the right place at the right time and also be killing people to make them, turn around and stop using utility where you actually can retake the bomb site. So Mata's in a pretty bad spot here, ADS saying I hated this fight from him. Dropped it to the 4v5. Flyo's just trying to get in front of it. There's the nade, there's the slow. So Brock actually gets through the gap here, right, which ends up being a link. They didn't really expect the flood to come from here as well, with people being in C, link, and a heaven. There's a third, kind of like group of people over here. So that's going to catch BCJ off guard. And then Koala and Xander aren't going to be able to get the bomb down properly, even though the trades are going to come through here for them a little bit. It's going to get dropped into a 1v2, where that's going to have a pretty insane round repositioning off of these cages, but they at least actually did get in there and technically kind of like win that flood. They dropped it down to a 2v1, which they would normally win, but, M80 net, man, he's looking to go back-to-back with the qualifications, bruh. Even though it's triple Sentinel, they do have options like this to get aggro, right? Trying to pressure the lurk of Flya. He gets stuck in the tether and the crouch grenade. Has to molly himself to stop the push. He's screaming for help, just wailing into the mic. Boys, get over here, man. Save me. They're coming to get me right now. He couldn't even get the nade off, right? A lot of utility expense by Moist here. They get double walled off. They're going to have to break through both of them, because if they don't, that means that M80 knows exactly where they are. They're just making sure that they don't get caught here. Koala knows that 1 or 2 of them are stuck, so he's trying to angle out and get a kill here. Does a little bit of damage, and he's just going to eventually fall off, after reloading. But aggression, extension plays are possible, without this like double initiator, without that duelist, and they have a lot of depth in terms of that regard. So check out just like the redirection options that M80 have with the utility. They can completely kind of like direct traffic in a regard where they could just force you to run away because there's too much stuff, to deal with, right? So they're going to go into the suspected weak side of net here. He's sitting in a pretty risky spot, which I do like at the end of the day. He is kind of like testing the waters like this. M80R, down 9-6 at this point. There, he is going to need to kind of like start taking a little bit of risk, to gain that reward of winning a round rather than just playing so standard and letting Moist figure out exactly, what they want to do. So I like him playing aggro by this orb. Okay, he's going to be in a position where he can punish a trip. So the Prowler actually doesn't activate that one for some reason, and Vic is in a spot where he gets caught out and killed. Bombs on the ground. Moist know that they need to speed up. Net's going to reposition off that first blood, and look at Koala here. He's dropped the wall in the bomb site. So they know, Moist, that M80 is a team that likes to flood. So they understand that, a person like BCJ or Xander or even Nismo can be in that position. But it doesn't matter, because everyone on this team, in terms of agents, they have speed controlling utility. They have traffic direction. BCJ has the tether. Koala has the slow on the wall. Xander has the paranoia. Okay, Net has the tripwires in a cage. Okay, Nismo has the barrier mesh sensors and the graph net. There's no running. If you're in a room, if you're in a place that has an entrance, a corridor, okay, they're waiting for you to get inside of it. So again, the piece of utility that's going to be used here is the grab net, but understand it could be anything. This could have been the slow. This could have been the paranoia. This could have been the tether. It all gets value, right? Look at Brock. Just like bag over his head. He has no idea where he is. He's just scared in the dark. Mata's unable to, hold him there. He does get the trade at least. And again, they're just like pushed to the left or the right. To B, to A. Oh, we have to go C. Oh, this, that. They're going to have to force to save here. And M80 have just a great job of using their utility in that regard. So in the B retake, 9 times out of 10, what good teams are going to do is they're going to immediately push and take one of these 4 spaces, okay? So you have B main, you have the A link, okay, you have heaven, and you have C link. Normally, again, you want to have a control of at least, one of them when you're inside the bomb site. But the real thing is you want kind of like info in about 3 of them, right? So your B main one is just going to be like mainly like the attacker centered one. Usually there's going to be one guy here controlling the flank of the door. Sometimes if the secret door isn't open, the baby door, A-link, whatever you want to call it, one person will sit in here. And then the other people will be making a play either around C-link or heaven, stopping the run-in or whatever it is, right? So Moist are actually set up, kind of in a good position to do that. They don't have 3, but they have 2. Okay, they have kind of options here. Let's pay attention to the remaining utility, okay, that M80 has. Tether, okay, wall, right? no crouch nade, but still barrier mesh online, okay, with the paranoia. So they can kind of like lead with like the haunt to bait out some utility, right? After that utility gets baited out, then they can actually go for real with the omen blind and get ready to trade everybody out and what it is. So Xander's actually going to make a play on the door here, which I really like. He does a forward smoke with a blind. Annihilation's going to clear the close right corner. Huge first blood onto Odashima. Little bit of a tunnel vision here. Notice how Xander is clearing a corner that was annihilated and Nismo already cleared. So a little lazy. He almost lets Brock win this round by having his back turned here, not holding the smoke. But take a look at what's going on in secret here. The people who are trying to hide, the people who are trying to play back, they get barrier meshed and sage walled. This is like a full box. This is like a port-a-fort in Fortnite. They threw that shit on the ground, and there's a shitload of metal walls in your face right now. You don't even know where you are, and your pickaxe is out, and you're trying to break through it before it's too late. The storm is ticking. You're dead. You know what I mean? It's a perfect execution of what they want to do on this B site. So again, Brox is just like, yo guys, they're on. Guys, they're on. Guys, they're on. Guys, they're diffuse. They didn't even break through it. They literally didn't even break through it in that 10-second window of it being up. They couldn't even get out of secret. So even though we have covered the A set before, again, one last example before we go here of, you know, what you're looking at, right? They have that forward trip and a camera. Cage activated to stop pushes. Slows can start landing. Wall can go on the left or right. Moist are never getting past the mid part of the site. Look how much they're using. They're using the Fade Util backside. They're using the Viper Util backside. They're not letting them get past this. It's just the fortified wall. There's just nothing they can do. They're just stuck here, right? Tap comes through, so Xander's going to reposition. He's actually going to ruin Odash's lurk. He's only going to be able to get one before the trade comes through. And BCJ does a great job of just staying composed here, okay? Kwanu does eat the bullet for him, but he does bait the body properly, jiggles out the fight, and ends up clutching up here. So, you know, well done on him. He's been having like a pretty good playoff so far. He's been playing well. So again, to recap here, we've talked about how this can be a really defense-sided comp, like in this Moist game. And it can also be a comp that, you know, works really well on the attack, right? They only had to play, you know, about half of a half here, so kind of like a quarter to close out this game. Specifically in the auction game, there's like a lot of it going on. I just decided to cover these two games instead of that. But the main thing to pay attention to here is just like how active everybody's getting and like what they're doing. So again, you have games where, you know, Xander's like a little more quiet, like yelling more, and then you have games where he's top fragging and getting a bunch of like first engagements. Koala opping, shutting people down. Nismo, even though he's playing the deadlock, it's kind of like a pseudo initiator. He's running in and trading using that gravnet, right? And then he's setting up his utility. He's kind of like playing the post. Okay, BCJ is just kind of like your all around, just like setter upper. You know, he's creating lines. He's breaking crossfires. He's getting you info. He's directing traffic on where he wants to go. And then we kind of have like two write outs on, you know, what I was talking about with the utility in the breakdown if you weren't able to pay attention to the mini map. So, you know, commonly, you know, you're seeing the A setup with net playing over here, and he'd have these cages where he's drawing this line, and you're just not getting past this if you were Moist or TSM, right? You could not get into backside, right? And this is only like placeable stuff. You know, we're not even talking about like the slows yet, right? So the slows are still online, right? You know, Net was also found playing C a lot. He had a sensor and a trip for himself and cyclable smokes. Okay, Koala walked himself up C, got an op kill, dropped this wall, and ran away. They got aggressive front B with an annihilation and did a push play. They dropped the wall, res somebody, and backed up. There's been multiple levels of trips, right? There's like the entry level trips, and there's like your deeper kill trips that Net was playing off of. There was some A aggression that we saw with a push wall over here and then a wall to stop people from getting out. So many layers, so much annoying stuff to deal with on defense. On top of the fact that they're Odining, right? So when you're coming out into A, right, you're getting spammed and you're getting like cucked. They had a little bit of a anti-plant Odin spam from here where they're trying to break the bomb with, right? They're Odining on C a little bit through like this like wooden area, right, by this like bend section, okay? Again, just really hard to deal with. You actually can't play at the pace that you want. You have to slow the game down and play at the pace that they are making you, right? You can't really like have a decision in that regard. And then on attack, these are mainly like the post plants that you were running into. So Koala's using this wall, okay, to cut off the waterfall help again, and he's on top of it, right? And if he needs to slow you, he will. So you can't really make a play. You can't really, you know, help when you're over here. Nismo's throwing the barrier mesh to block you off from going top site, and then he's dropping double sensors. What we actually didn't get to cover in the footage itself, specifically on B, Nismo was pre-placing a sensor before the wall went down, right around here, okay, for C-Link. and then Koala would wall the sensor. So it's literally unbreakable until you break the wall, right? And even if you don't break that piece, right? So let's just say, there's 4 pieces to the wall here. If you only decided to break these 2, that sensor is still active in this piece of ice. So when you try to walk through it, you're fucked, right? So you have to sit there and break the entire wall if you wanted to break it. So again, so annoying to deal with. And we're not even talking about the tether. We're not even talking about the paranoia. You know what I mean? We're not even talking about the gravnet being used. All these things still exist everywhere, and there you can get proactive with them. You can do whatever you want with them. We're pushing A link. We're extending into waterfall spawn. We're pushing backside A. Whatever it is, they're making it so hard. But they were always taking away spots with the barrier mesh in the wall, and then they had slows, sensors, tethers, trips to deal with the remainder of like the bomb timer in that regard. So really difficult to execute, I feel like, but they've done a really, really good job of it. Super impressive to see a team like this, who, in my opinion, last year was like kind of like crippled by their role problems. Like we didn't really see Koala venture off of the jet, right? We saw Nismo always having to play raze for him. Bind has been a perma ban of M80 for 2 years now, so it's time that they bring it out for playoffs. Sorry, not playoffs, for Ascension. They're gonna need to be able to play Bind. They're gonna get into the best of 5, probably to qualify. And in that setting, you're gonna need to have extreme depth. You can't really have any weaknesses that are gonna get exposed. But again, if they're coming up with no duelist comps now, Koala Noob's playing Yoru on Ascent. Their dynamic has changed completely. It seems like they have 5 people plus a staff who are there to win. They're not fucking around. They're not messing around. Okay, they're not coming up short this time. They're an easy favorite to win this. They've been playing lights out. Congratulations to them for making Mexico, and pre-congratulations for making, making the league. M80 is a great org, and I'm excited to them, at least hopefully, to be able to be a part of that partnership situation there. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope I gave you some insight on how this comp works and what it's supposed to do. Started off with some video references there, ended with a little recap on the Vala plant, kind of like explaining what the utility does. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I read every single comment. If there's matches that you want me to break down or things that you want to see, again, please leave that down below. A lot of people ask me about core. When are the core videos coming out? I'm not doing a match by match thing for core. I'm going to do all in one. So that video could be potentially like an hour and a half. I'm not actually fully sure yet, but I do have a kind of plan of what I want to do. I have that coming out in the near future. Thank you again. Open up the description, follow on with all the socials down below. If you guys do want to get better at the game, join my Discord. Check out the options I have for coaching. There's no better option. I work with anybody, any rank, any skill level, any part of the world. As long as it's English, I can get across. You know what I mean? Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Till I got out of here, man. Deuces.